What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Sunday analysis. Today is Sunday, December the 3rd of 2023. And like always, we're going to be analyzing USDCAD. We're going to talk about what price has been doing over the past 2 weeks, what we anticipate price to do for next week, and how we want to approach the upcoming weeks. Okay, so looking at USDCAD, we're on the daily time frame right now. We have been in this range from this low to this high for quite some time now. If we measure it, it's been about 73 days since we've been in this range. Now, I'm interested in this range because this range has been a continuation of this range. Now, why is this range important? Well, if we zoom out, we see that price created this higher high right here. And then after it created this higher high, it made this lower low right here. So if we were to measure it out, we already have this high measured. Here is our low right here. Now, when we go all the way out here, we see that this low from this entire range has been swept. Now, when the low has been swept, where did price go? We're going to look over to the left again and see if we have any points of interest. And it looks like we do. We have this fair value gap right here, this busy fair value gap that price tapped into once, rallied higher, pulled back into it again, swept through this liquidity, and then impulsively broke market structure after it took out this high right here. So now, since we see a break of structure after liquidity has been purged, I'm wanting to look for a buying entry or a specific trading entry. Now, if we were to measure this level with our fib from this low to this high, we have our OTE levels right here. Now, within this OTE level, we have a small imbalance right here. And this level right here taps into this order block that was created, which was the last order block that created this impulsive move higher that broke structure. So I highlighted this order block because I want to wait to see price come to it or near it, at least if it doesn't tap into it. Now, after this range was created and it broke this structure right here, price told me that it wants to continue going higher and ultimately sweep out buy side liquidity, which it did right here. We have these relatively equal highs right here that price swept from this leg right here. Now, this leg right here created its own internal range as well, so we highlighted that. We have our premium zone right here and we have our discount zone right here. Now, inside of this discount zone, we have this daily fair value gap that I was interested in, because if I'm bullish and I'm looking for buy positions, I'm not going to buy when I'm in a premium zone, okay, because price is too expensive. I'm only going to be looking for buys when I'm in the discount zone right here, okay? So I wait for price to come back down to the discount zone, which it sure did. Now, my point of interest was originally this daily busy. Okay, now what I want to see when price enters our point of interest is some sort of respect. So if I see price respect it, then shift in market structure higher, then I want to be looking for positions when this impulsive move higher is created. When this impulsive move breaks structure, this is what I'm going to be interested in. Now, do we see that here? No. Price violated this daily busy, okay, and it closed below it. So in situations like this, I go down to smaller time frames and I look for more points of interest. Now here we have this shaded orange box right here. This orange box indicates our 4-hour order block, okay? Why is this an order block? Well, if we take a closer look, we see that this order block swept through sell side liquidity, created a clear imbalance, and broke market structure impulsively. So if we check those three things off of our list, the order block is valid when it's responsible for the break of structure, when it leaves a clear imbalance, which we see right here, and when it's in an extreme zone. And in this case, our extreme zone would be this entire discount range. So we check all of those off of the list and we have a valid order block. So I highlighted this one. Since price violated this daily BISI, I'm now anticipating price to come down to this 4-hour order block. Now, once price reaches this 4-hour order block, this is when I want to start looking for entries. If the opportunity presents itself, okay? So here's how it would look like if the opportunity presents itself. Price taps into it, rejects it a little bit, sweeps liquidity, breaks market structure, pulls back into a point of interest, and then continues going higher. So this point of interest could be anything like, it could be a fair value gap, it could be an order block, it could be an imbalance, it could be an OTE, an optimal trade entry. So this leg right here is where I'm going to be interested in. If I see a sweep of liquidity, let me draw it out. If I see a sweep of liquidity and then a break of structure, a sweep of liquidity, break of structure. If I see these two things happening, then this leg right here is what I'm interested in. I want to be looking for entries in this area. Now, if I see all of this happening inside of this 4-hour order block, then we have an A+ setup. Okay, so I would be looking for buy positions in this area, in this higher time frame point of interest. Now that's if price respects this zone, okay? But it could do multiple things. It could disrespect it. If it violates this zone, now what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be looking to see where price could likely go and identify higher time frame points of interest. So if this order block gets violated and this range from this low to this high, it sweeps this low right here, I'm going to be looking over to my left and see if there are any points of interest. Okay, so take a look back at this range that we were talking about from the beginning. Okay, if I were to take my fib from the low to the high, about right here, we have our optimal trade entry right here. So if this order block gets violated, then I want to see price tap into this OTE level right here. Okay, somewhere within this OTE level. So now I'm going to zoom in and see if we have anything interesting in this level. Okay, I see that we have this order block right here, and I see that we have this imbalance right here. Okay, so this is a beautiful, clear imbalance. We're going to be aiming for our lowest hanging fruits to begin with. Before we start taking any trades, we're going to be looking for our lowest hanging fruits. And we also see this tiny fair value gap right here that we don't want to miss. And there's one right above it, but I'm just going to count this one right here because it's slightly larger than the one above it. So I'm going to mark this one out. So if price violates, let me just drag it out. Just like, okay, I might gotta make it larger. Just like that. So if price violates this 4-hour fair value gap or 4-hour order block, then I want to see price going into this zone. This is where my next point of interest would be, this fair value gap. Now, am I anticipating that price is going to respect this fair value gap and continue going higher? Not necessarily. I don't know what price is doing. I don't know what price is likely to do. But what I do know is my trading strategy. I know what to look for. I know what my confluences are. I know if everything is checked off of my trading plan, then my trade is valid. Now, is it always going to be a winner? Of course not. You know, you can't win 100% of the time in this industry. It just doesn't work like that. You will have wins and you will have losses, and you have to learn from both of your wins and your losses. So when we get to this fair value gap, I want to see how it reacts. Does it respect it? Okay, I'll look for an entry. Does it violate it? Okay, I move down to the next point of interest, which in this case would be this order block right here, which is the daily order block right here. Okay, let me just make this blue. Anything that you see in blue is daily. Okay, so if this 4-hour order block gets violated, then I'm looking for price to enter this daily order block in order to look for entries. It will be my next point of interest. Okay, and same thing applies. If it gets violated, I look for the next draw on liquidity, I look for the next imbalance, and I look for the next point of interest. So if this one gets violated, then I'm looking for this weekly range low to get violated as well. So that's what we do. Now, what I want to be seeing is price respecting my point of interest. This is where I want to be taking my trades. When price respects my point of interest, now I know that we're ready to launch. So I want to see price respect this 4-hour order block. Let me just go over it slowly. I want to see price respect this 4-hour order block. Sweep liquidity right here. Sweep this liquidity. Then break structure. Once it breaks the last high that swept through the sell side liquidity, it becomes a break of structure. Now this entire leg right here is what I'm going to be interested in. I'll measure it out with my fib, just like so, and I will highlight anything that I find interesting from this 50% level and below. So below this 50% level, we have this OTE. Now if we have an imbalance or an order block or anything within this range, that will be my point of interest. Okay, I will be looking for the lowest hanging fruits as well as the highest hanging fruits, because I like to take the extreme trades. I like to keep a very small risk but a very large risk to reward. So usually what I would do is, first of all, look for the OTE, which is right here, then highlight the order block that caused this break of structure. Okay, now once price begins to go down into this fair value gap or this imbalance or this mitigation block, whatever it is, or it could be just a breaker block that was created from this leg, which acts as a point of interest, I want to see how price reacts. If it respects it, great, I'll take my entry. If it disrespects it, now I want to be looking for my extreme, which is this order block that initially created this break of structure. Now at this level, I want to see price continue going higher, and that's where I'd like to place my entry. First of all, right here, you could scale into it. I like to keep my stop losses low or at a bare minimum. Usually, if it's an imbalance, I put it right below the candle that created the imbalance. Or if you want to be safe, you could put it at the low, just a little bit below. But you see how large the stop loss is? I'm not a huge fan of that. So in situations like this, you can scale into a position. If you normally trade 1% of your account, you could scale in, put something like, 50% or, 0.5% or 1/4%. You could play around with it however you want. Remember, when it comes to trading, you're not in control of the markets, but you are in control of your risk. You control how much money you lose and how much money you make. Okay? So this would be the optimal trade entry, anything within this range. But I like to go for the extreme. I like to place my entry at the absolute extreme. So if my stop loss right here is 16 pips, I just round it up to 20. Just because I like to round it up. Now I will take partials at the high, and already here we have a 5.6 risk to reward. And then I would go to this level, which right above it we have this buy side. So I'll aim for this buy side, which already we have a 9 risk to reward. And then I will go to the next one right here, which rests right inside of this imbalance right here, which gives me a solid 12-to-1 risk to reward ratio. Okay, I'm only risking 1% of my account and targeting 12% profit. These are the kind of trades I like to look for, and usually if I'm bullish and I know price is going to go higher, we could aim for something like, if we take this order block right here and keep our stop loss, you know, back at 20 pips, say 20 pips, we can aim for the absolute extreme. Alright, so if we have this buy side right here, we can aim all the way up to this buy side. Now look at our risk to reward. It's 23. Now is this trade gonna happen in one day? Of course not. You know, if we get lucky, sometimes we could see price go like this and then whoosh, shoot all the way up. But of course price is not gonna do that. It's gonna do something like this, where it goes down, goes up, goes down, goes higher, and then ultimately after a long period of time, it will attack our target. So these are the kind of trades that I like to look for. I like to get the extreme trades. I'm gonna keep this one right here. I like to keep an eye out on the extreme trades. So just to recoup everything we've just talked about, okay, we see price has been going down for the past few weeks. Go back to the daily time frame. Price has been going down for the past few weeks. Price violated this daily BISI. Now my next point of interest is going to be this 4-hour order block. Okay, if it gets respected, perfect. I'm looking for a trade setup. Okay, if it gets violated, then I move down to the next point of interest, which would be this daily order block. And I'll keep doing that until one of my points of interests gets respected. And I will be looking for my trade setup on these higher time frames, like the weekly, daily, 4-hour. That's where usually I frame my setups. And then once the setup does occur, then I zoom into the lower time frames, like the 1-hour, 15-minute time frame. And that's where I usually execute my trades. Okay, but that's all that we have today. I'm anticipating price to tap into this range, and then once it enters this range, I want to see it respect it. If it doesn't get respected, then I'll just move down to the next point of interest, which is this daily fair value gap or order block. All right, well, thank you guys for tuning in. I hope I've brought some value with this video. If I did, please leave a thumbs up. It would really help out the channel. And if you have any questions or concerns, feel free to leave them down in the comments below. I love to share information with you guys. I love to gather information from you guys. And overall, just it's fun to me. I like it. So I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Good luck trading next week. If you find a good setup and you're confident with it, take it. If you find a good setup and you're not confident with it, sit on the sidelines. Don't take it. Be patient. Wait for the perfect setup.